G'day, and welcome back to the Engine Room. In this episode, Nat and I unpack everything your farm business needs to know about Payday Super, the biggest change to superannuation in years. So right now, rather than getting caught out, we're going to focus on practical steps you can take right now to get ready and to be ahead of the change. We cover many topics on this episode, like how to choose a new clearinghouse if required, how to update your budgets to take account of the cash flow changes that will occur, and how to build payroll habits will make this change feel like second nature. Now, just before we start, Nat and I are going to be kicking off a new initiative to answer any questions from our listeners that are having challenges in their engine room with either their bookkeeping, their budgeting, or their whole financial management system. So if you've got a question you'd like us to cover, either leave a comment down below, fill out the form in our description, or send us an email at bootsofflogon@agrimaster.com.au. Enjoy. Now over to the episode. Welcome to the Engine Room, everybody. Episode 3 today. Nat and I are going to be talking about Payday Super. Payday Super is an important topic because as of the 1st of July, 2026, the way Australian businesses, in this case we're talking about farm businesses, pay superannuation to their employees will change. So today we're not going to be really going through the legislation or whether we agree or disagree with it. I'll leave that up to you and your local representatives. So let's just accept that the legislation has passed and we're all, as employers, going to have to abide by it as of the 1st of July. But today what we're going to be focusing on is really, like this podcast is about, the engine room and how this affects you in your office and how do we go about dealing with it. So on that, Nat, what do all the people who manage pays on the farm business need to know about Payday Super?
So it's quite simple in the fact that as at the 1st of July, every time you now run one of your pay runs for your staff, and including yourselves, you will be actually required to submit the super on the same day that you pay them. And it has to be received at the clearinghouses within 7 days or fines will apply. So another change, which is part of that as well, if you were using the free ATO clearinghouse, that is also closing down as at the 30th of June. So what you probably need to do is hustle right now and find a new one. You can speak to your accountant. They will give you examples of free clearinghouses that you can use. Or also on the ATO website, they also have lots of suggestions. A lot of the information that we've been sharing about this change, we've also highlighted that within all of our content. So if you are not very good at navigating the ATO website, jump online to our help centre and check out the Payday Super information and the links to the ATO there. But yeah, definitely have a chat to your accountant as well.
So how's this going to change really every day? So anybody who's got employees right now has been having to do payroll, and we've all had a great training in payroll, especially with STP1, now STP2. Most people should be up to speed. How will this practically change at a farm office level?
Yeah, so previously you were either submitting your superannuation quarterly or monthly, but as I just said before, now every time you do a pay run, you're going to have to submit it each time you do that pay run. So you may submit pays weekly, fortnightly, monthly. So once you've done the pay run, you will then also have to submit your superannuation like you were before, but now you're going to have to do it each pay run. So there's obviously an added admin burden with that. So like we've been speaking in the previous podcasts, if you don't have a business rhythm, if you don't allow time in your own engine room every time you run your pays, you need to make sure you do prioritise that because it is something that's really important. At the end of the day, this is our staff's superannuation, so therefore we owe it to them. None of us can do anything without our staff. It's a legislative change, so the government is being very, very definite that there will be fines in place if we don't do it on time. So I guess, we all sometimes get a bit annoyed about the changes that happen, but it's here. We can't do anything about it, so we just need to lean into it. So my suggestion is, set up your time each time you need to do your pay runs. and basically allow the extra time. One of the biggest things that we always suggest to do when you're doing your payroll is you always need to make sure that the two programs, so your payroll program is the source of truth. So make sure that whatever you have entered in your payroll program reconciles to whatever for our customers entering into your AgriMaster, and that you actually reconcile them side by side. In a little bit, I'm going to talk about a checklist that we've developed, but that's an important thing. You also need to make sure that your staff are aware of this change because they may not have any idea about the change. So more important than ever, if they are changing their super funds, they need to notify you ASAP because otherwise these superannuation payments will reject and it will cause an extra admin burden to you. So just maybe remind them frequently over the first 12 months. If you're changing your superannuation details, please let us know because it's first nature to you, but it's not first nature to them. So there's some of the really important things that you really need to make sure you stay on top of. And obviously, choosing that new clearinghouse.
There's two really important issues there. One was staff, and the other one was I want to talk about integrations and people's different software. So let's just start with staff. Staff have their own rhythms, their own habits. They've got mortgage payments coming out, their car, all those sort of things.
Yep.
So how do we make sure that if we're going to change our rhythm? So one of the things actually you talked to me offline was about the way people, because they have to do this every pay run now, they might want to change their rhythm. And if they do change their rhythm, how that actually might affect their staff's personal cash flow.
Yeah. So what we actually see over the helpline, employers are, generally really, really good with their staff and, they're very accommodating. So you may have some staff that you pay weekly, other ones you may pay fortnightly or you may pay monthly, whatever your particular rhythm is. What, like a suggestion is that you might look at all those different pay runs because every time you do a different pay run cycle, so if you're doing weekly and fortnightly, every time you do the weekly, you have to submit that super. Every time you're doing fortnightly, you have to submit that super separately. So maybe have a conversation with the people that you're paying for weekly and, you might choose to make them fall into line with the fortnightly. But coming back to what you said, they've got their own responsibilities, car repayments, mortgage repayments. It doesn't matter what it is. They will have their own responsibilities. So if you decide to go fortnightly, you would, generally speaking, give them at least 3 months' notice because they need time to readjust their cash flow. And it's just, the considerate thing to do. And then that will also assist with, reducing some admin burden in your world. It's just something to think about.
And so what about when you got temporary staff, so you got casual staff,
Mm-hmm.
especially, and every industry is going to be some seeding, harvest, picking, shearing. There's a point in time where most farmers, generally a harvesting type of period or a planting period where they might get in a big bunch of temporary labor. Is there a different way you might need to induct them or change? Is there any changes other than the normal that they'd have to account for with that casual labour pool?
Not really. I mean, there again, be very upfront when you're doing your pay run. So if you're fortnightly, then they're very aware. You need to make sure that you absolutely have their superannuation details up front because you do need to submit that sort of stuff on time. And I guess out of all of this, one of the things that you really will have to look at even within your own world is your actual budgets. So we've mentioned on previous podcasts just about, updating your budgets when changes happen. This is actually a big change. So previously when you were having harvest, for example, you may not have been paying super to the end of January because that was the December quarter. Whereas now, if you are fortnightly, you'll be paying super in November and December, and they may be your tight months before your incomes actually come through from harvest. So there again, update your budgets to show the superannuation's payments coming out monthly, so then you can see the knock-on effect. So you can actually reach out to the bank now in case you need to have an additional extension. They'll love you for it.
Yeah. And I mean, that's always a good point. We've mentioned this on previous podcasts. If there is any changes, predicted changes in the cash flow, which is why what if analysis or
Yep.
updating your budget is so important, is inform your bank sooner rather than later, because it's always better for the relationship and generally sometimes your rates as well. The other thing is just talking about cash flow is, so you're just talking about go in there, try and calculate as best you can how your cash flow might change, because normally you've just got these big superannuation payments that you've budgeted for every quarter.
Yep.
So just go through and try and even that out somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
just make sure that, when you are having additional cash, casual labour, and then you've obviously got your regular labour throughout the year. So then all you'll need to do in your budgets is make sure that you're changing that from, quarterly superannuation payments to monthly superannuation payments. And once you've done that, then obviously look at the knock-on effect, and because then you'll be able to assess, where you're going to be at.
now, there's actually no net more superannuation being paid, is there? So the amount of super you pay, is that correct, is going to be the same? The rate's the same?
It's going to be the same. So that's actually another really good point. Obviously, we're coming to the end of the financial year. So before you enter the next financial year, you should really make sure that any errors or things that were set up incorrectly in this financial year, that you've rectified those in your payroll program. And then because you want to go into the new financial year making sure they're, all correct. So you're not going to have any of those hiccups. Obviously, you need to set up that new super clearinghouse, so that's important. You'll need to make sure that new payee is also set up within your financial program. One of the biggest things that we do say is that payroll is the source of truth. So if an employee
So you're talking
changes,
about the payroll software you're using?
Yep, your payroll software. It's the source of truth for payroll. That's the information that you report. That's where you report the information to the ATO through STP reporting. So when anything changes within payroll, like an employee changes a bank account detail, or their rate changes, or their superannuation fund changes, you need to update that within your payroll program. And then basically, if you're importing it into AgriMaster, then the changes will come through. The payroll program is the source of truth. In this instance, we're talking about Employment Hero and Wage Easy. If you don't have an integrated program, then you may have to manually also update that information within your financial program or AgriMaster, what we're talking about here, if it's a separate sort of payroll program. But still coming back to it, the payroll program is the source of truth. And when you are actually adding information into your financial program, and AgriMaster in this instance, what we always say to customers is you run a payment summary report from your payroll program, and you are actually making sure that the information in AgriMaster, once it's added, reconciles. Because if you're actually auditing this every single pay run, and it doesn't take long, it's literally a 5-minute process, then when you come to the end of the financial year, you've got so much less work to do. And it's just good payroll hygiene.
And that's in your checklist that you've written for everyone, isn't it? So before we get to the checklist, integration. So we love an integration these days, everybody. But what you're saying about these checklists is people go, well, I've got an integrated program, whether that be part of your software or integrated. So like, for example, with us, we have Employment Hero and Wage Easy and WageMaster integrated into AgriMaster, which just bring all the data through. But regardless of what accounting or payroll software you use and whether it has an integration or not, you're saying that you should still audit that integration.
And this is something that everyone should do before the 1st of July, is you also should check that your integration is set up correctly. That's also in this checklist if you're using Wage Easy or Employment Hero, because one of the things that we see is people only half set up the integration. So which means the data doesn't come in correctly. Then they're also not auditing the data, like they're not checking with the report that it's come in correctly. So then half of the information's missing. So that's like a person problem, a human problem. Like if you don't follow the checklist to set it up correctly, it's not going to do it correctly.
It's a really good point about software, and I think this is software in general. Software is not magical, and it's not, as much as there's talk about AI, it's not intelligent in any way. It is just a big calculator. So if you set the calculator up incorrectly, like you map it to the wrong codes, you don't
Correct.
bring everything in. So this is not our software thing. This is any software. It doesn't matter what accounting or payroll or budgeting application you use. The setup is almost most of the work.
Yep.
And so what you're saying is pay attention to that and audit that.
Yeah, and this is my suggestion to listeners out there, I would actually take the time before the new financial year starts and make sure the integrations are set up correctly, make sure your clearinghouse is set up correctly. And so then, for example, when you follow this checklist, which I've put together, the information will come in correctly. And what we also see is people import the information into the programs and then they go and manually change it. So then it's not correct. It doesn't align to what you've done and what you've reported to STP. So I'll come back to again, your payroll program is the source of truth. That's what you're reporting to the government. You can't then go and change it manually in your financial software, and then the data just doesn't match up.
And this goes for the people that you share your financial software. So most people, well, not most, but a lot of people will be sharing their financial software, in our case, AgriMaster, with their accountant, their advisor, their banker, and some of them actually have right access to that software as well.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, if you're running payroll and you're importing it or entering it into your accounting platform, or also your accountant or advisor or anything like that, it can't adjust your accounting platform either. You have to adjust it in the source of truth and re-import it or re-enter it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if it's been reported to the government with STP, it's gone. So you need to make adjustments in future pay periods. You can't go back and alter what you've already done. So unless you're doing supplementary pay slips and you understand how to do that. So, but with all of these things, like, if you can't get in contact with your accountant and you're just trying to actually fix something, there again, you can just call the support line. We've also got loads of content on the Help Centre. If this is outside ours, you can just ask Grace, our help bot. She's very, very good. She's very helpful.
She's become very clever.
Yeah, and she actually solves, lots of tickets. You just have to be very precise with the words that you're using. So
that's for after hours, but during hours,
during hours, reach out to us. That's what we're here for.
But we also have a big, for those of you, all the AgriMaster clients listening, how many we got? We got a big team behind Grace. So Drew and the team, there's about 5 of them, I think, behind her, who take all the calls. So she's not working on her own.
Yeah. And the thing is with all of this, like even, wrapping up for this end of financial year, wanting to get ready and set up properly for the new financial year, if it's overwhelming and you don't like doing it and you really want to get started on the right foot, we also are, helping customers do this. So we've got an end of financial year package to help you actually get through it.
Yeah.
So you're not alone.
Yeah, it's certainly not alone. And so that's for all the AgriMaster customers around Australia. If you're not an AgriMaster customer, see if you can find out someone who can do a similar thing. Don't sit there and suffer through it. I mean, we'd love you to be an AgriMaster customer, but if you're not an AgriMaster customer, certainly don't sit there and suffer through this, because if it's set up properly and you learn how to use it well, it's actually really a massive time saver, and you sleep well at night and everything. But don't think it's magic. Don't think you're the only one struggling. Sometimes this stuff is hard to get right the first time, and after that it becomes very routine.
And if you're that person who puts stuff off, don't. Lean into it and just put in some time now, and yeah.
Now,
week by week, you'll get better.
Just before we end, Nat, just want to go through, you've talked about this a couple of times, this person, talk about people. The person who's doing the payroll or the books or the budgets within the farm office is not always the person who's the most enthusiastic at it. Sometimes it just lands in your lap, right? But you've mentioned before that this is important, that somebody takes charge of it regardless. And with this move to Payday Super, it seems like this rhythm or this behaviour you have. Do you want to talk a bit more about that? And it's becoming increasingly important with the more and more changes that come through.
Yeah, well, I think the thing is, it's like you are going to have to do this. Let's say you do your pay runs every fortnight. So basically, allow the time. You're going to have to extend a bit of your office time. Allow the time to do your payroll. Deal with your payroll, and then you need to come back and then obviously deal with your super, paying your super. With both instances, you should be, add your payroll from your payroll program, whatever works. You reconcile, make sure that it's audited and that, the numbers stack up. Do the same with your superannuation, and then basically, submit your pay slips to your staff. If you're not reporting on your pay slips, your super, that the contributions that are being sent off each fortnight, then make sure that you actually fix that in your payroll programs as well, because it will show the cumulative amount that your staff are actually getting paid. So, and then they'll probably start to realise that, if they have changed something, it's important. Otherwise, it's going to affect my super contributions.
This is a really good opportunity to do something that's called habit stacking. So James Clear, in his book, Atomic Habits, said the best way to develop a new habit is to stack habits. So if you're doing something you have to do anyway, stack the other habits that you should be doing or you want to be doing on top of that habit. For example, now, because of this legislation, you have to, at least once a fortnight or whatever your pay run is, be present in the office doing this job. So this is a really good opportunity. Well, I'm going to be in the office anyway. So how about I do the payroll and do all the updates and the audits like Nat just suggested. But at the same time, I'll update all my books, make sure
pay all my vendors, read my emails.
Yep. So I'll clear out all my accounts payable and receivable.
Reconcile.
Yep. Reconcile if you need to reconcile, and update my budget. Check, whether your budget's on track. Do a budget actual comparison report. So add those things into this habit stacking, right? So suddenly you don't actually have to like it. So we're not going to try and tell you you're going to love this, but it becomes a habit. It's a bit like, your kids eating their vegetables and going to the gym. But you will feel better for it. So this is a really good opportunity to stack those habits because you have to be there anyway.
Yep. And try and be methodical about it. Is this going to allow extra time, in the office? Yes. I mean, I dare say probably initially, each fortnight it may add an extra hour, but over time you're going to get so quick at it. Like it may just condense down to 30 minutes. But
then you can
be methodical, and which is why we try to, we've got loads of checklists, how to enter, all your tax invoices and how to reconcile, and now this is why we've had previous checklists in regard to this, but this is literally in regard to running your payroll, doing your super each fortnight, each week, each month, whatever it is. And if you methodically do it, then, over time it will reduce.
And checklists are your friend. So checklists, I know it sounds like a big admin thing, but it's not. Checklist gives you peace of mind. Yes, I've done everything right. Good. And eventually you'll forget about the checklist. But even doctors who've been doing something for 20, 30 years still use checklists. Why? Because it stops people making errors. It's just a good habit to get into.
And in regard to errors, if you don't know how to do something, find out how to do it. Stop. Call someone. Call the help centre, call your accountant, whoever is your person that actually helps you solve these problems, because what you don't want to do is actually do something which is not correct and then forget about it, and then down the track it causes you a bigger problem. So, just try and take the time to find the assistance.
All right, before we close off now, let's talk about your checklist. So we've put it, for AgriMaster customers, there's 3 different checklists on the Help Centre, one for our integrated platforms, Employment Hero, Wage Easy, WageMaster, and for people who are using a non-integrated platform. So there's 3 checklists on that. And for non-AgriMaster users around Australia, if you go to our agrimaster.com.au and you hit knowledge, and under there's a section called ebooks. In there, you can download a free generic checklist. You don't have to be using AgriMaster or any of our payroll platforms, anything you're using, and it's a Payday Super checklist. Now, can you take people just through what's in those checklists so people know, is it worth me going and downloading it?
Oh, So first of all, it just tells you about make sure that you've done your setup correctly, make sure you've done your clearinghouse. And then it just talks about, doing your actual pay run and then basically reconciling, both programs. Then it talks about, doing your super and then reconciling. And then basically it talks about, where you should, file your information. And then at the end of the day, it just walks you through just step by step what you actually have to do. And by all means, if it's missing stuff, let us know. And in regard to if you're using WageMaster or AgriMaster, or even if you're entering it manually into AgriMaster, it also links you to all the relevant help content if you're not sure how to do something.
Brilliant. Thanks, Nat. Now, what's the one thing you'd like people to take away from the conversation? So you've got someone sitting here listening to this in the car, the tractor, at home, and saying, oh, God, another bloody thing to do. What's where do they start now? What's the one thing you want them to take away from our conversation?
Get organised now. All of this stuff will be available next week whenever this podcast goes live on the Help Centre. So either get organised yourself. If you don't like doing it yourself, reach out and find some help. And if you really hate doing all of it, you can always obviously contact us in regard to the in the financial year package that we've got, and speak to your accountant. Just talk to someone to help you walk through the things that you really don't like.
Thanks, Nat. And for everybody,
and become comfortable with it.
Yeah, and you will become, I know, even if you say, I hate this and I don't want to do this and I don't think I'm good at it, you will. Just follow the checklist, follow the bouncing ball. It's not intellectually tricky. It's just a process, and you'll become comfortable and good at it, and you can brag to all your friends how good you are at payroll.
Yeah, and just allow the time.
Yeah. And to finish off, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, geez, I wish David and Nat could also cover this subject in the office or that subject in the office, just email our support centre. You'll find it on our website, and say, can David and Nat on a future engine room please talk about this process or this job? And we'd be happy to we can't accommodate everybody because there's too many, but we'll try and accommodate that and bundle them all into a podcast. So thanks very much, everybody, and we'll see you in a fortnight for episode 4 of the Engine Room. Thanks, Nat.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Engine Room. We hope you found today's episode helpful. For more resources and to continue your learning journey, just head over to the Knowledge tab on agrimaster.com.au. If you're an AgriMaster customer, don't forget that our Help Centre has plenty more tools and resources to support you. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Just a quick reminder, the information we share in this podcast is general in nature and isn't financial, investment, legal, tax, or accounting advice. Make sure you speak to a qualified professional who understands your unique situation before making any decisions. The views we and our guests express are our own and don't necessarily reflect those of our sponsors or anyone else.